People ask me why I got interested in motorcycles. I have no freaking clue because I hated motorcycles for the longest time. I went to South Africa as a young budding engineer, and when I was there, we all shared a house, and one of the roommates of mine got a motorcycle. It was a Kawasaki 750 LTD, I believe it was. And I said, okay, you go up riding. Another roommate got a motorcycle. I said, shit, so I was always by myself at the house, you know? I said, this can't happen no more. I gotta get a motorcycle, but I didn't know what kind. I was going through a refinery, and all of a sudden, this bike cast me up. Boom. And I'm looking at that. I says, wow, that's sort of cool. I had no idea what it was. A tour had all these nice little bags in the back and the front and the fairing. The guy was just sitting back and having a good old time. I says, that's the bike I want. A whole briefcase of money in my pocket right here. I said, okay, 6,000, we're done. But I got onto the bug of motorcycles, and the Goldwing was my bike of choice. And I just loved it. It was comfortable, and it was quiet, it was smooth, and that was for me. So then the time came, I had to leave South Africa. And I was so blue cheese because I had to sell the bike. And I says, man, I don't want to sell the bike. You know, it's like, it's special to me. So what I did was my mother-in-law, bless her heart, she died. And she told my wife, you want to be happy in life, you buy a motorcycle when you get to America. And it was sort of the same time as my birthday. And this is in 1993. So Big Red was the bike my wife bought me for my birthday, and I still have it to this day, 28 years later. And that bike was awesome. Me and my wife took a trip to California from Indiana all the way to California. Went to Utah, and went to Colorado, and went to Arizona. Went through California. We saw so many things on that bike, and then we rode it back. And we rode it again to Canada and New York, the Dickens. It was so exciting with her traveling with it, and we just went wherever we possibly could, and it was really my number one hobby of motorcycling was on Big Red, as I call it. Big Red's got 144,000 miles on it now, and the first I would put like 8,000 to 10,000 miles a year. The first year was so exciting. I had the time. But now I'm getting older, I don't have the time. I can't ride as much as I want. So instead of riding as much, I just added to the fleet. So within time, the bike was awesome, and it still runs like a champ. Love the bike, and I have a group that I ride with. I will never, ever, ever sell it because my wife was so gracious to me. She bought my birthday. It's more of a memento of what is so special to me. And it says, I'm keeping this bike and I'm going to give it to my kids if they ever start riding. In 1977 was last year, the spoke wheels, and it was just a fascinating thing because I like spoke, I like the retro look. And I found the blue bike, and it was a low mileage bike. It only had 64,000 when I got it, and I bought it in Arizona, sight unseen. And I love the bike, and for an older bike, it rides really pretty good. The bags that you see on it, the bike right now is like retro what it was in 1977 because Honda didn't have the bags on it as a market function. Those bags on are aftermarket, made by a guy named Craig Vetter, and that's why it's still a touring bike. You got the two bags, the trunk and the fairing, you got a stereo, and that's sort of like the retro touring bike back in those days. And that retro look is sort of cool. It really is. The old bikes, new bikes, there's no comparison because. That bike has nothing, no cruise control, no nothing. It's carbureted, 4 carburetors, runs like a champ, but it doesn't have the comfort like the newer bikes have. Like Big Red. Big Red is like a couch. You can almost fall asleep on the damn thing, So comes 2013, and then the wife, bless her heart, she spoils me rotten. I love her to death. So she was looking at the internet one time, and she says, and I don't know why she was, she came across this brand new Goldwing, green and silver. It's not a stock color, it's a custom color that a Honda dealer does in Honda Russellville in Arkansas. I said, that's cool, and I did like the color, the green and silver. I like that combo. And all of a sudden, she said, look, they got a trike for sale too, the same color, same year. Really? And so we sort of bought two bikes at the same time. So I had to take a trailer up to Arkansas to go pick them up and bring them back. And beautiful bikes, and they're identical. And you know, again, with the Honda Goldwing on the green bike, it's a 2013. It's fuel injected, and it rides great. And it has GPS. It's got XM radio on it, cruise control, adjustable shocks. And some models have the anti-lock brake system. Mine does not. But you know, I would ride that all the time. I took that bike with me and my wife's bike on our trip to the west, where we got an RV with a toy hauler. We put both bikes in the back, went to the west, and rode for 7 months all around the west of those bikes. And that's the biggest memory we have on our bikes, is going out that far. And you know, people say you got to see the country, do it on the Goldwing, don't do it on nothing else. Because you can have the comfort, and I won't say the other H word motorcycle brand, but we all know what the other H is. So after we did that, I found another vintage bike. It's a red one, small red one, same year. It's almost in show condition with the bike. It's I rarely ride it. I take it to a couple of bike shows every once in a while, but I don't. And hopefully someday they'll be valuable, because I did promise my kids that these are all theirs when I'm gone. Whatever is left, I have to divide it. You guys could sell it, get a college education for your kids. I don't care, you know, but it's going to be theirs. So the intent is for me to keep it all for them. Of course, none of them likes to ride motorcycles, the sons of the bitches, you know. It's like, you know, I got 3 kids and none of them likes to ride. My daughter a little bit, but sons, I don't care. So that is my story on motorcycling. I do it. I love motorcycling so much. I became a certified motorcycle rider coach. Did that for 18 years to teach people how to ride motorcycles to get their endorsements. That's a 1973 Volkswagen Thing, and they only imported them for 2 years into America. 73 and the 74 model years, even though they made them from 69 to 1980. They had an 11-year run. Ralph Nader, if you recall, he was an environmentalist, if you will, but he's the one that stopped it because he said they were unsafe. And that's why they started importing after the 74 model year. And that included the Corvair, too. He says they're unsafe cars. But by the time that they come to the States for the 2 years, you know, it's somewhat of a rare car because there's not that many left in America, because they're rusty. Volkswagens tend to rust. That's their biggest fallacy, their biggest weakness is rusting. But I fell in love with the car because as a kid, I lived in Ethiopia and my dad was a consultant, and the first car they gave him was a VW Thing, 1970 model. And it's the coolest thing because it's you can take the doors off, the windshield comes down, the top comes down, and it's just a versatile car. There's no carpet. It's a very, very easy car to fix, get parts for, and it's different. You won't see it. It's sort of ugly, but it's a pretty cool car. It's a water-cooled or air-cooled engine. There's no radiator, no power brakes, no nothing. It's a glorified lawnmower engine. And mechanical parts, you get them really cheap because they still make them in Brazil, in Mexico, of any parts you want. So, you know, I always, because I saw was a kid, and you get so fascinated with a car when you're a kid. And I've been looking for one, and of course I got the blessing from the wife. Okay, we find one. And sure enough, I found this in 2006, close to 16 years ago. And it was at a car show, and it was pristine. Looks just like that, with the exception of the engine. The engine I replaced. And the green lights on the car, and you know, it's not a stock item at all, but it makes it cool. It's only a show car, and I don't drive it. I just take the car shows, get an award, and come back home, and we're good. Now, as you notice, the car is getting new brake shoes because brakes didn't want to stop. After being 73, it's almost 50 years old, you know, things start to fall apart on like brake shoes and brake cylinders and whatnot. So I put all that new into it and have all the time in the world to play with it. But it's such a cool car. I mean, it's not fast. I have a little thing on the back. It says 0 to 60 in 10 minutes. You're not in a rush. You're good. Anybody should have a Volkswagen Thing. I think it's the bomb. Get it. It's a Florida car. They do have heaters in front, which for the 1973 model years, they have a heater that's attached to the fuel tank with a combustible source about 6 inches away from the tank, and that always bothered me. And I took the heater out, and a lot of people disconnect them because it's not a great idea. Germans are supposed to be pretty smart, but I don't think they were too smart when they thought about that. The next car you saw is a 1979 Pontiac 10th anniversary Trans Am, and it's just a car that I always loved. I graduated in 1979. I seen the car, always loved it. The stupid eagle in the front, you know, that looks like a squawk and it looks like it's sick chicken. They call it a screaming chicken. It's like, really? They got they call it a screaming chicken? But it's such an iconic car, and it was pretty much Smokey and the Bandit, the movie in 1977 really started me on that, even though it's a different car, different year, but same concept. And it was just a very cool car. And I said I need to get one, and thanks to my parents when they died, my mom died, and the inheritance, I bought the car, and that's why you didn't see the license plate, but it says thanks Tot. You know, Tot is Tot, the Ukrainian dad. So I dedicated the car to him, and that's the license plate I gave to him because that's his inheritance that I was able to buy the car. But I bought the car in Meekum's auto auction last year, and it was a thrill. And I had to go buy it, you know. You go up there, you're waiting, and you don't know what to do. This guy's going, blah, 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 blah. You said, what the hell is he talking about? I don't know what he's saying. And then you're putting your things up, you're saying, then he asked the guy, what's he saying? What's the bid price? And the number was going up and up and up. And I said, I'm not going to pay that much for that car. And my wife says, pay that much for that car. So I paid it. And I'm waiting. Okay, then somebody outbid me. I'm waiting. And we're looking for some more. We're looking for some money. And we need some more money. Do I get 52? Do I get 52? And then nobody says, reserve is off. Do I got 52? Do I got 52? And I'm thinking, oh crap, somebody get 52? I didn't know what he was saying. And then all of a sudden the hammer came down, sold for 50. And I said, who got that? He says, you did. Oh, I bid 50. Florida is known for car shows. There's a couple of big ones, like in Centennial Park here in Investment. I love going to it. And it was downtown. They closed off the streets. And you know a lot of people. And my wife even took her car. She's got a pink Mustang that she takes. You get the same car with the car, you could always trade stories about what part fixes where. Where do you get your parts at? What part works? Can we use this part? And there's a lot of information. And there's a different class of people. If you have a Volkswagen-specific car show, only Volkswagens, that's a total another breed of people. That's the hippies, that kind of people for that. Like that guy, that's a hippie. That's like the Volkswagen guys. Coolest people ever, nicest people, just the free spirit people. And there's a huge one that's the Bug Jam. It's November, the second Sunday in November. I haven't missed it except for 1 year when I was on my trip. Great car show. I go every time. So you'll see all that, enthusiasm in Florida for all kinds of different cars. It's great. It's always a great time.